Welcome to the webinar on setting up the skills-based report card project. This is Beth Elliott, and today we'll be going over how to create the report card project and to fill in the fields that are associated with it. To set up the report card projects, we're going to go in under Advanced Skills, More Skill Editing Jobs, and we're going to come to the bottom and edit the report card field selections. What this does is it gives us the ability to create different groupings depending on the type of report card we're doing. In this case, you would normally give it a report card name, and if I look at the intermediate one, we originally gave it the name of intermediate, and we selected a document that was the intermediate report card. Now, the report card file itself can be a .doc or a docx. It does need to be one of the two. You can use Google Docs to get your DOC. As long as it ends in that, we're in good shape. This is a mail merge file that we're working with. When we start setting this up, it's going to create a text file that has the fields that are going to be used as the source for the mail merge itself. And the system adds the TXT to that file. To the left is the path of where it's going to put that in. Now, this particular path is on the server that's hosted for you. So it just gives you an area of where is that file. But we're going to start over here with the school information. And the school information that we are including on our report card is it has the name of the school from the license file. We're going to bring in the address 1 and 2, which is say a street address and a P.O. box. And we're also bringing in the city-state zip. So it does give us that capability to work with. We can, at some point, if you want, also bring in an email address, a website, and so on. Once you have selected the fields, and all we do to select those is I'm going to use my Control key. You notice as I sort of hover over here, it gives me a little description that a Control click allows me to deselect. A Control click also allows me to select. Because I did a change here, we have the ability to save those changes. If I forget to click the Save button before I go to the next tab, the system is smart enough to tell me, oh, you didn't save it. Let's come over here and do so. So it lets me say, do I or don't I want to do the changes. Under the biographic information, that's going to let me pull information for the student. It always, when you come into this screen, goes to the last field that you have selected in the sense of alphabetically. So the bottom one that we have selected is the school years, so we don't have to change the actual report card every year to bring in the school year. But we are bringing in, I'm just going to scroll up, things like the grade level of the student. I'm bringing in the homeroom number and the homeroom teacher. We're bringing in contact information. We have the C Sterno here, which is the street number from the address area. It also has the other area. Now, if you notice, I didn't bring in things like the zip code, and that's because as I scroll up, I'm going to have an area where I can pull in, and some of this is already combined for you. So here's the city-state zip. So it's already combined with city, state, and zip code. We've done the same thing with the contact name if we wanted to bring that in, where it has the title, first and last name of the contact. And down here, it's indicating that it would be contact 1. So if I had deselected and reselected, it would allow me to pick which contact I want that information to come from. And then at the very top, we're also bringing in the student name. And we're bringing the student name in where it's the first name, middle initial, and last name. So just lets us see what's coming in. Again, we would save as we go from one to the next. I'm going to skip the skills for just a moment and go to attendance. The attendance, what we're setting up is to bring in the attendance totals for each trimester and also have the ability to bring it in for the year. And the totals that we're bringing in is how many absences the student has and how many tardies. You have the option at some point, if you want, to bring in dismissals, an unexcused absence subtotal, how many days are present, and how many are possible. But right now we're just concentrating on these two. On the skills side, the order of the skills in the list are based on the group. And it's going to show you in group order, but it will only show you the skill group description. And that's why I added intermediate to the end, or primary or kindergarten to the end of each of the groups. So we can use a shift key to select one end of our list, and then we can scroll and do the other end. So it gives us that capability. So if I wanted to, I could click on the intermediate first one, scroll down, click on the last one with my shift key. And of course I'm not hitting the shift key. Let's try that one again. And it's going to select everything in between. The marking periods, or which ones do I want to see on the report card? Because this is an intermediate report card, I'm selecting the 3 trimesters and the final. If I was doing a primary or kindergarten report card, I would not include the final average because I wouldn't need it. You don't use those on that particular report card. Once you've selected the marking periods and the groups that you want to work with, you would populate the list box, which would highlight all the things in the list. And what they have is for each skill within the skill group, it's going to show you the grades if that's what was checked, and the teacher. And because I don't really need the teacher for most of these, I used my control key to deselect them, so I didn't have to wade through all of those teachers. Now some of the items, when we get into things like the notes and so on, I might also need, not so much in the final, but if I was in the individual trimester area, I would be able to see that, oh, I might need to be able to bring in different information. So with my areas for the notes, I'm also going to have a note besides the grade itself. So it lets me choose which of those that I need. This is the area I would come to on the right-hand side if I want to limit how many characters that will go on the report card. As with any of the other areas, you can go up to the question mark to get help on the different areas here. The last area I'm going to touch on right now for the report cards is the course grades area. In the course grades area, as we did with the skills, we can say which marking periods we'd like to be, which grade bins. I'm going to be able to select the courses that I want on the report card, and I'm going to be able to select what fields I want. So I'm bringing in the grade itself, which is the marking period or trimester grade, maybe the final average. I'm bringing in the text of the comments. So instead of seeing code 321, I'm going to see the actual description that goes with that, which makes it a lot easier. And as I scroll down, I'm also bringing in the name, the teacher name, and the overall note, because there's also an area for a note with this area. Once you've selected on these 3 areas, you would hit the populate box, and it's going to populate everything here. And if you needed to, you could deselect if need be. At the bottom, you can select a grade point value group. This you would only need to change if you were going to do the alternate grade. The system is already doing those alternate grades for you, where if as you put in assignments it scores it, it's going to put that letter in for you, so you don't need the alternate. But we do have the ability to limit how many characters are coming from the grade note, so it gives you that capability. And as with any of these, you would save it. Once you have all of your fields set up, we're going to come back to the report card project name tab. And there's 2 things we need to do here. One is we need to build the list. And what that does is it creates the file that we use as the merge source. that we're going to use to put in the fields into the report card. The other thing we can do here is we can print a list of the report card field selections. And that gives us where we can see what's coming in, and it shades it for each of the areas. So the school information is a different color or shaded versus the biographic. And it's only going to list the fields that you're working with. But I can see here that if I was looking for the school name, I wanted the LIC.school name. Where if I was bringing in the student name, that's from the EMF, the student master table, versus some contact information and so on. What I'm seeing here of the EMF dot student name dot first, middle, last, when you go to do your merge, you're not going to have the periods, but that's the field that you're going to insert. And as we scroll down and we get beyond the biographic information, we start getting into the different skills that we're going to work with. Now, some of this is there's more description. We're only showing so much, limited on the paper. The description of a skill, you actually have the ability to put in up to 1,200 characters, which is, a couple of paragraphs there if you so choose. But it gives us the ability to see what's here. Now this report, I could have used my output option and output it to either a PDF or an Excel spreadsheet to make it easy to reference if I needed to. And that's how you set those up. And you have one of these for each of the report cards that you want to produce. Now that we have the report card projects, we also need, I'm not going to bother changing it, but once we have this set up, I need to associate those report card projects with the students. And that you do under your advanced skills, operations, because we're working with a group of students. You're going to assign the report card name. And there's two ways to select your students. Say if I want to select the report card, say let's do the kindergarten one. I have two ways to do that. I can edit a condition where I can select any field in here, say, because it only searches on one, the H, and then come down to HR. So I'm looking for homeroom, and I want to scroll down and say, oh, there's my kindergarten homeroom. I want to apply it, so that becomes my condition. I'm going to come back, and I can just hit process, and it would apply that report card name, the one I have highlighted here, to the students that meet this criteria. And I can go ahead and process. The other way is if I go ahead and clear the condition, is I can come into the student range. And with my student range, I can click on the heading for homeroom if I had not changed to a homeroom filter. I can then click in any of the homeroom fields, type my K to go find my kindergartners, deselect all. I'm now going to use my control key, and I'm going to click that first kindergarten student. Now I have an option at this point. I can either type a P to get to the next grade, or I could have scrolled to find that last kindergarten student. And I again used my control key with a click to deselect from there down. To do that type of selection, it tells me right down here how to do that. So it makes it nice to be able to select that. So anytime you do a range like this, it's going to tell you at the top how many students you have. So I have 31 students in this group. I'm going to click OK, and again I would process. This field here, the EMB, SBGRC_name, which is the skills-based grade report card name, that's in the student master table extension 2, which means that as I roll the student from one school year to the next, they're still going to have the prior year's report card. So remember that you're going to need to change that at the beginning of each year, especially for the students that are going from kindergarten to primary or primary to intermediate. But that's how I would assign the students into the report card plan. If I go under biographical, print biographical list by field report, I can come into this report and pull up that SB field. So there's my skills-based grade report. And if I want, I can go ahead and print, and it's going to show me here are the students who don't have a report card, which makes sense because they're my pre-K kids. But here's my intermediates, and it gives me a list of the students that have that particular report card. So it makes a nice, quick way for me to double check it. So real easy to work with. But that's how you set that up. We thank you for participating.